I was considering selling my R5 and getting the R5c. It's safe to say this might be the biggest video I've made so far. I have the camera that I've been trying to get my hands on for the past couple of months. The camera that I saw come out, and I borderline regretted buying my R5. The R5 has been my workhorse for the past year and a half, and I love it. There was one drawback to it that I personally haven't run into, but a lot of people have, and that was overheating. Canon said, all right, well, hold my beer. We got this one. We have the Canon R5c. This thing's on back order everywhere. If you've tried to get it, well, you probably haven't been able to, but luckily I was able to get my hands on a rental. Today I had a shoot for Beyond Meat, and I got to use it all day. Me and John were out there pushing this thing to its limits, trying to get it to overheat, trying to find a limit to where we didn't like something. First impressions of this, it's different. It's big. As you can see right here, there is a fan on it. One of the biggest drawbacks was the overheating on the R5, and Canon went ahead, they threw a fan on this camera. I mean, it's pretty big. It's a big difference. And I have the R5, that's what I'm filming this on. I was considering selling my R5 and getting the R5c because you have nothing to worry about with this thing. But the first thing we're gonna dive into is honestly what I didn't like about it. How could this perfect camera have anything wrong with it? The battery life on this camera, whenever you are shooting an 8K, I personally didn't shoot an 8K 60 at all, but I was shooting an 8K 24 all day, and I shot about 160 gigs, and I went through 3 batteries today. And the reason that I didn't like it, I can deal with battery life not being good. I can buy more batteries because at the end of the day, I like having a small setup. This is bigger than the R5, but it's still a small setup and it still feels like a nice handheld camera that I don't need to pack super heavy to use. But the thing that bothered me about it was that the battery would slowly die and even drop 1 bar whenever it was just sitting there not even recording. Whenever you turn this on, the fan kicks on immediately. So I just turned it on video mode, right? Can you hear that? That's the fan. Now you can't hear it whenever you're trying to use the internal microphone or you have a shotgun microphone on. That's nothing you have to worry about, but that is why the camera will slowly die even whenever you're not recording. And then on top of that, when you are recording, the camera's working twice as hard and it's still using the same batteries that you can use in an EOS R that barely even shoots 4K. That is why this thing just rips them apart. Now, I'm not saying that's a huge drawback and a reason that you shouldn't buy this camera, but what I'm saying is that you should be prepared to always have at least 6 batteries with you whenever you're shooting, especially if you're planning on shooting 4K 120, 8K, and that leads me into my next point. 4K 120, there's a big upgrade that they made here. A huge upgrade that I never really noticed that I needed, but a lot of my friends that shoot sports always critiqued when it came to the R5 and the 1DX. It didn't have audio in that 1080 120. Me personally, when I'm shooting sports specifically, I like to have audio. Whenever I'm shooting somebody going down the court dunking a basketball, I want to hear the dunk. I want to hear the crowd cheer. But you almost had to choose between 60 frames per second, not as much slow-mo, and then you have audio, or 120 frames per second, no audio, and then maybe you had to record a voice memo on your phone or something like that. This now has 120 frames per second with a WAV file. So it's not perfect, you'll have to line it up, but what it does is it records audio. Us Canon users, we never had audio in 120 frames per second before. One of the things that I love about this camera as well, there's no record limit. If you're recording a podcast, if you're recording a long form video, on the R5, you were never able to record that over 30 minutes. There's a record limit where it would stop your recording at 30 minutes, then you would have to restart. This thing doesn't have that, and I just love that. I hate being held back and not being able to shoot podcasts or shoot these things over 30 minutes. I don't like having to reset, so not having that 30-minute record limit, it's a really nice thing. I don't love the menu on this camera. Now that's probably me just being picky. That's probably me just being used to the R5 settings, because the R5 has the same interface as the EOS R, which I personally got used to. I could literally use that camera with my eyes closed. I don't even have to think about it. But with this, I wasn't really sure how to go into log and out of log. If you haven't seen yet, whenever you're in photo mode, you have the normal interface that the R5 has, that all of the R models and even the 5D, 1DX, all of the Canon DSLR models have the same menu as well. But once you swap over to video, it has the cinema setting. So if you've used a C70, if you have used a C300, a C500, whatever it is, that is the menu that it is. You will have two different menus within this, which is weird to navigate. And that brings me to my next point. The point that I think a lot of people don't like about this camera. Well, it takes a long time to go from photo to video mode. Even to go from video to photo, it takes a while. That has to do with you're going from one menu to another. It's almost like a totally different operating system whenever you switch from video to photo or vice versa. Now right here, I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna show you how long it takes. So the camera is off right now, okay? We're going to go to video. 1, 2. Okay, quick to turn video on. Now let's go off so we can go straight to photo, just so you can see. All right, now it's off. We're gonna go straight to photo. 1, 2. So right off the bat, the time to turn the camera on is the same as the R5. It's very close, probably not the exact same, but close enough for me that I wouldn't necessarily notice it. Now we are going to do from video to photo mode. We are on video mode, everything's fired up. Now let's go ahead, we're gonna flip this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It takes a solid 10 seconds to get from video to photo mode. The last thing to prove my point, let's go from photo to video. Photo right now, we're gonna go to video, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds to get from photo to video. Now you might be sitting there saying, well, this isn't that big of a deal, I'm not worried about it. Now if you're on set, 100%, you're correct. If you're on set, you have much more controlled environments, but if you're a sports photographer, a sports videographer, you want this to be your end-all be-all camera, that is the one thing I would be worried about. I would be worried about the fact that I can't swap over fast. I'm just sitting there waiting. I have 10 seconds to miss a moment. Now, if you're gonna use that as a hybrid camera, you can, right? It has very good specs for photo, very good specs for video. There's no question about that. I would actually recommend using this as your video driver and then getting a photo camera if that is at all possible. I assume if you're buying this camera, it's not your first camera. And if you are buying your first camera, I don't think this is a good first camera. If you're a cinematographer or you're slowly bridging that gap, kind of like I am, between the social media videographer and a cinematographer, this is a great camera for you. Does it make sense to upgrade from the R5 to the R5c? This is the question that I mentioned I was asking myself. Now I'm glad I got my hands on it. I'm glad I got to use it for a day. And I would actually go ahead and say no. Right now, I don't think I would go from the R5 to the R5c. Now why? Is the overheating that big of a problem? You know, I'm shooting this video right now on my R5 in 8K. I'm at 15 minutes and 55 seconds and I don't even have an overheating warning. This is actually an 8K light, which I've noticed that in a controlled environment is enough to have to color. Even in 8K IPB today, we were running that right alongside with this. And the R5 actually, I used one battery all day and I didn't even get an overheating warning. Now, We did do a Q&A during the shoot, and just as a precaution, I switched over to 4K because I didn't want to record 10 minutes of 8K and then either fill up my memory card and or overheat the camera. You know, I still get nervous, and I do think if I keep going in the direction of shooting more and more 8K, I will upgrade to this camera. But right now, I am not in a rush to get the R5c. If you're strictly deciding which one should you upgrade to, the R5 or the R5c, think about it. Do you shoot a lot of video? Do you shoot a lot of video where you need to be shooting in these high resolutions? Are you shooting a lot of photo and video? My answer is, if you're shooting a lot of video, definitely get the R5c. Now, do you shoot a lot of photo? Do you shoot mostly photo? I think the R5 is the best bet for you. I don't like this form factor for shooting photos. I think it kind of looks like a cinema camera, which of course they did their job correctly. I just don't think it feels that great if you're shooting photo. You don't need a big fan in the back if you're shooting photo. If you're just shooting video once in a while, like I said, the R5 has been my absolute workhorse for the past year and a half, and I haven't had any problems with it. Anyways, these are my thoughts. Take it or leave it. I hope this helped. I hope you can get your hands on one because it's a nice camera. And if you're new here, before you go, I make a video every single day on YouTube. Tuesday, Thursday is a video where it's kind of commentary based, and then Saturday is a tutorial, vlog, anything like that. For example, this is a Saturday video. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. Throw me a subscription, share it with your friends, let them know that you like this video, maybe, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.